Look at this fellow. He's definitely going to the march. I can't believe the crowds when I leave the metro. It's freezing cold. Yesterday, Paris woke up under a blanket of snow. But that won't stop my comrades in the SFIO turning up en masse. It warms the heart to see there are so many of us. Like them, I'm here to say no. No to the fascist and royalist leagues who want to overthrow the Republic. We won't leave the street to them, never. The street is ours.
On February 6, 1934, Paris experienced terrible riots. The French Parliament was threatened by dissociated groups, and protest marches degenerated into street fighting, which resulted in 15 deaths. Strongly opposed to the violent acts committed by the right and far right, Robert Talpain and thousands of fellow socialists demonstrated on Monday, February the 12th.
What a crowd. I don't know where to point my camera. I want to photograph everything. How I wish Marcel were here. Then again, I can't see many women present. Marcel is a real militant. We met during a meeting of an SFIO section where we were discussing peace and pacifism. She stood up to speak. Then I talked about 1917 and life in the trenches. Marcel and I hit it off at once, and now we've been together for 3 years. This is her, with her cat Gavroche and our comrades. She wants us to get married, but I tell her there's no hurry. It's already as if we live as man and wife. So I'm marching for the two of us. And the reason I take photos is fascists are saluting while the workers go hungry, and that is something I cannot put up with.
Hitler had been Germany's leader for a year. He held full power and was already sending his opponents to concentration camps. At the same time, Italy had fallen for the charms of the fascist Mussolini. France, too, was in turmoil and suffering from the whiplash of the Great Depression, which had hit the United States in 1929. Unemployment was skyrocketing. Government followed government, each weakened by scandals that fed anti-parliamentarianism. Then on February 6, 1934, the Republic wavered. French fascists were close to seizing power. So on February 12th, the left wing fought back. Léon Blum, socialist politician, led the march, accompanied by other left-wing leaders. Among them, Marceau Pivert, a friend of Robert Talpain, who had also fought in the Great War.
Well, I've managed to find Pivert. I just headed to the front of the march, and there he was, next to Léon Blum. The moment he sees me, he grabs my arm. Look, Talpain, from over there, you can get a really good picture. Pivert is a good friend. Since we've known each other, we talk just as much about photography as about politics. He's a pacifist too. And like me, he likes nothing better than getting together with our comrades. With Blum's agreement, he tried to convince the communists to march with us. He even went to see Maurice Thorez. But the first secretary of the French Communist Party wouldn't hear a word of it. When will they understand that nothing will happen unless we unite?
Union wasn't the order of the day. The communists saw the socialists as petit bourgeois anti-revolutionaries and assimilated them with conservatives. As for the socialists of the SFIO, they suspected the Communist Party of trying to recruit their activists. So the communist leaders decided to organize their own march. Suddenly, at Place de la Nation, socialists and communists came face to face.
We're hemmed in, but forced to keep going. At the end of Avenue Daumesnil, the police are itching to charge us, while the communists march towards us. It's absurd, but I feel protected by my camera. The two marches are now face to face. But I can hear the same cries coming from everywhere. Unity, unity. The marchers intermingle. Comrades shake hands and sing the Internationale in unison. Blum is right in front of me. He looks exhausted, but nevertheless makes the speech.
Citoyens, Paris, rassemblés dans cette manifestation signifie aux hommes du fascisme et du royalisme qu'ils ne passeront pas. La réaction ne passera pas. Vive la République des travailleurs. Vive la liberté. Vive l'unité prolétarienne sans laquelle aucune victoire n'est possible. Vive le peuple ouvrier de Paris.
Grassroots socialists and communists aspired to a union, but their leaders were still resisting. Moscow would change all that. Since Hitler crushed the communists in Nazi Germany, Stalin had been seeking new allies in Europe. So he pushed for conciliation between the French Communist Party and the SFIO. Maurice Thorez made a complete U-turn in his politics. And finally, on July the 27th, 1934, socialists and communists signed the Pact for Unity and Action in the fight against fascism.
Summer is everywhere. I love driving around Paris early in the morning. It feels like the city belongs to me. I'm like a little kid who has borrowed his big brother's favorite toy. And today is even better than usual. I'm driving Arletty to the film studio. She has a small part in Jacques Feder's latest movie, Pension Mimosa. I glance at her a few times in the rearview mirror. She sits in back with a slight smile on her lips. We cross the city. The day breaks, and everything is so calm. Ah, Letty. Never-ending legs and a slightly sad smile. For sure, this morning will live on in my memory. I'm about to leave the studio when Adrien, a lighting technician I know, calls out to me. He's excited. I hear Thorez has been courting the radicals. I think they might join us. Personally, I can't see the communists and radicals sharing the same bill, even if the socialists are there to stop them tearing each other's eyes out. But the thought of the boss of the Communist Party attempting to sweet-talk the radical Edouard Herriot, now that's some screenplay.
Maurice Thorez continued his policy of conciliation. He next tried to win over the radical electorate. On October the 10th, 1934, he appealed for a necessary alliance of the middle class with the working class, and the forming of a union that incorporated them both. But the Radical Party had trouble overcoming its distrust of the communists. Union was far from achieved.
Yesterday, my brother would have turned 38. They informed us he had died for France. Fallen on the field of horror, more like. Every year when his birthday approaches, my mom doubles up with grief. But she was a brave woman. When we were kids, she'd go around all the markets, come rain, come shine, trying to sell the shirts made by our dad, with her 4 kids in tow. Now, she's a shadow of her former self. I have an idea. I'll take her to the movies. We go to see La Cucaracha, a movie in Technicolor that's just come out in France. Amazing colors, singing, dancing. My old mom was so delighted. She was like a little girl. We'll definitely go to the movies again. If you want a job well done, do it yourself. That's what Pivert says when he suggests I film the commemoration of the communards who were executed at the Mur des Fédérés. I think that to give the event the grandeur it deserves, we'll need several cameras. So I call up my pals, the gang from the studio, and we arrange to meet at Père Lachaise. And here they are. There's Fred Attal and Comrade Champion from the 20th section, and it's Marcel who'll do the editing. Pivert is right. Moving images have a much bigger impact on the masses than photography. Filmmaking is evolving. We must use it for the cause. So my pals and I decide to set up a film section in our Fédération de la Seine. I'll be filming our marches. And I know full well how to give the impression of great numbers. With tight shots, no empty spaces, so we see only the protesters filling the screen. And it works like a dream. Today is Sunday, and it's the second round of voting in the municipal election. I'm like a lion pacing its cage, waiting for the results to come in, and Marcel is in a foul mood. She's saying I'm no better than any other man, so if I won't marry her, she'll find someone who will. I don't bother answering back, because I know what's eating away at her. Like on every election day, she's so upset about not being able to vote. Levallois-Perret is deserted, and it's stifling in our 2-room apartment So we head into Paris for a stroll. We stop for a glass of ice-cold lemonade, and there's something in the air. It's ungraspable, but I try to capture it with my camera.
The municipal election of May 1935 was an overwhelming success for the Socialists and Communists, and a failure for the Radicals. Edouard Herriot, the Radical Party president, realized he couldn't remain outside of a left-wing union. The Radicals therefore decided to join the Great Union organized by the Communist Party and the SFIO. On July 14, 1935, the French left had a rendezvous with history.
I know it's unwise to wear my cream suit, but I want to be dressed to the nines for the big day. I think I'm looking pretty chic. I know I'll dirty it carrying all the gear. But still, we'll film everything, so I'll need to lug around my movie camera, tripod, and camera. We're finally about to unite. Before the eyes of the country, and to the annoyance of the fascists. We'll show them all what the French left is capable of. Jean Perrin, the winner of the Nobel Prize in Physics, reads our Declaration of Union.
Au nom de tous les partis et groupements de liberté et des organisations ouvrières et paysannes, au nom du peuple de France, rassemblés aujourd'hui sur toute l'étendue du territoire, nous faisons le serment solennel de rester unis pour désarmer et dissoudre les ligues factieuses, pour défendre et développer les libertés démocratiques et pour assurer la paix humaine.
On July 14, 1935, delegates from all over the country and representing all branches of the French left wing gathered at the Montrouge Velodrome in the Paris suburbs. Radicals, socialists and communists got ready to march together, alongside trade unions and associations like the League of Human Rights. The Marseillaise blended with the Internationale. For the very first time, the French left wing stood as one.
And there it is, women finally marching with men on the street. Marcel marches with her fellow women workers from the studio. As they set off, she teases me, "We'll see if we meet up again." I laugh at seeing her so cheerful. Half a million of us in Paris, chanting, "We want bread, freedom, and peace." They march past me, fists raised. And suddenly, everything seems so clear.
Camarades, le Front populaire vaincra grâce à l'expérience de 1934. Grâce aussi, ne l'oublions pas, à l'expérience malheureuse de nos frères d'Allemagne, d'Italie et d'Autriche. Pour la paix du monde que nous sauvegarderons, pour l'union de tous les hommes de bonne foi que nous réalisons ici, rien ne nous arrêtera.
I realize something crucial is being born before my very eyes. So I keep filming this great story that the people of the left wing are in the process of writing.
The next day, representatives of the SFIO, the Communist Party and the Radical Party, were tasked with developing a common plan to bring the left to power. In May 1936, the Front Populaire won the governmental election. Léon Blum became the first ever socialist prime minister of the Third Republic. Marceau Pivert soon distanced himself from the SFIO, which he found too diffident. He and Robert Talpain founded a militant film production cooperative called L'Équipe. The two men remained friends until Pivert's death in 1958, and Robert finally married Marcel in 1974.